We've all been there. You're at work, or at a family dinner, or in a group chat, and suddenly the vibe shifts. Someone leans in, lowers their voice, and says those four dangerous words, "Did you hear about?" Immediately, your brain does something interesting. It perches on the edge of its seat. There's a rush of adrenaline. You know you shouldn't listen, but you also don't want to be the only one who doesn't know the truth. But then there's that other person, the one who stays quiet. They don't lean in. They don't ask for more details. They might even politely change the subject. Society often calls these people boring or no fun, but psychology suggests they are actually the most dangerous and the most respected people in the room. Today, we're going to look at why humans are obsessed with talking behind each other's backs, and why the person who refuses to do it has discovered a psychological superpower that most people will never master. The monkey connection, why we do it. To understand the person who doesn't gossip, we first have to understand why 90% of the world does. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar famously argued that gossip is actually the human version of primate grooming. Monkeys pick bugs off each other to build trust. Humans? We talk. For our ancestors, knowing who was sleeping with whom, who was stealing food, or who was a coward wasn't just tea, it was survival. If you didn't gossip, you didn't have information. And if you didn't have information, you were an outsider. So gossip is literally hardwired into our survival brain. But just because it's natural doesn't mean it's healthy. In fact, for the modern brain, gossip is like junk food. It feels great for 5 minutes, but it leaves you feeling pretty gross afterward. The oxytocin trap. When you gossip with someone, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It creates this fake sense of intimacy. You feel like, wow, we're so close because we both think Sarah is annoying. But psychologists call this negative bonding. It's an incredibly fragile connection because, deep down, both people realize something terrifying. If they are willing to talk about Sarah with me, they are definitely willing to talk about me with Sarah. Gossip doesn't build trust. It builds a truce. You're only safe as long as you're in the room. The moment you leave, you're the next topic on the menu. The psychology of the silent observer. This brings us to the person who never gossips. What is going on in their head? Most of the time, these individuals have what psychologists call a high internal locus of control. This means they don't look for validation from the group. They don't need the oxytocin hit of a shared secret to feel important. While the average person uses gossip to feel above someone else, the non-gossiper is already secure in who they are. They realize that talking about someone else's failures doesn't actually make them more successful. Furthermore, they often possess high cognitive empathy. When they hear a rumor, their brain automatically skips the drama and goes straight to, I wonder what that person is actually going through. It's hard to laugh at a rumor when you're busy imagining the pain behind it. The gray rock strategy. There is also a strategic side to this. People who never gossip often use a technique called the gray rock method. By refusing to give a juicy reaction to a rumor, they become boring to gossipers. Eventually, the people who thrive on drama stop coming to them. This creates a drama-free zone around their life. They aren't pulled into office politics. They aren't part of family feuds. By saying nothing, they actually gain the most information because people realize they are a vault. Ironically, the person who gossips the least often knows the most, because they are the only person everyone feels safe talking to. But there's one final reason why this trait is so viral, and it has to do with the identity you project to the world. Integrity as social currency. In the short term, the gossiper is the life of the party, but in the long term, the non-gossiper is the leader. Integrity is the rarest social currency in the world. When you witness someone refusing to speak ill of a person who isn't there, your brain records a very important data point. This person is safe. You realize that your reputation is secure in their hands. That level of trust is something you can't buy, and you certainly can't get it by being in on the latest secret. People who don't gossip end up with the most loyal friends, the most stable careers, and the highest levels of internal peace. They aren't worried about getting their stories straight because they don't have stories to keep track of. They just have the truth. Conclusion, the choice. So the next time someone leans in and says, "Did you hear?" Remember that you have a choice. You can take the junk food hit of dopamine and join the huddle, or you can take the silent path. You can be the person who holds their tongue, protects the absent, and keeps their peace. It might feel a little lonely in the moment. You might feel like you're missing out, but you aren't. You're building a reputation that will last long after the gossip has been forgotten. Because at the end of the day, the way we talk about others tells the world much more about us than it ever does about them. Stay quiet. Stay classy. I'll see you in the next one.